Welcome to the Cubos.com Puzzle Spotlight. Today we're talking about the 2x2.
So even though this puzzle is usually called the 2x2 Rubik's Cube, it was actually not invented by Rubik's. Rather, it was both invented and patented by an American called Larry D. Nichols.
This was actually before the original 3x3 Rubik's Cube was released, and it was called the Pocket Cube. And the Pocket Cube was actually held together by magnets compared to the modern mechanisms where the pieces are held together with plastic hooks inside of the cube.
Today, the 2x2 has grown in popularity to become the second most popular event at Rubik's Cube speed cubing competitions, and that's after the original Rubik's Cube 3x3 puzzle. And that's mainly due to the fact that it's quite a simple puzzle to learn, it's easier than the 3x3, so it has become very popular among newcomers in the speed cubing scene who just want to pick something up other than the classic Rubik's Cube.
So how hard is the 2x2 to solve? Well, it's actually easier than many of the other events you can compete in. But it's not completely trivial, and it's recommended that you learn from a guide.
The 2x2 puzzle was actually not an event at the first modern World Championships in speed cubing. It actually premiered in Sweden in 2004, here in our hometown of Uppsala. And at that competition, Michael Hellberg got the world record single of 8.44 seconds, while my old delegate colleague Gunnar Krieg got the average WR at 10.87 seconds.
As mentioned, today the event is very popular, and there have actually been over 10,000 Rubik's Cube competitions featuring the 2x2 event, and we have seen over 4 million solves. In total, there have been 160,000 people competing in 2x2.
As of us recording this video in 2025, the WR single is 0.43 seconds, held by Polish competitor Theodor Seider, while the WR average is 0.86 seconds. And that's an average of 5 solves. Very, very impressive. And that's by Chinese Yiheng Wang. In terms of the European record, however, it's shared between both Theodor Seider and Anthony Patirakis at 0.97 seconds for the 2x2 average.
2x2 is clearly a very competitive event, and there are a lot of people who practice really hard. So if you want to get the best in 2x2, you're going to have to work.
In terms of the top of the rankings, there's no single country which dominates. Instead, there are a wide variety of nationalities represented among the top players of 2x2 solving. In terms of the best 2x2 solvers, we have to mention Yiheng Wang from China and Saint Kanani from the US, who have held the world record multiple times.
When it comes to 2x2, the single is very luck-based, especially compared to many other events, because sometimes the scramble allows for the cube to be solved in only about 4 moves. So when it comes to high-level competitive 2x2, often the average is more sought after compared to the single.
When beginning your 2x2 journey, most of us learn some kind of beginner's method, but after that, most of us transition to a layer-by-layer based method, where you first solve the bottom layers, the 4 corners there, and then you approach the top layers, and that's most often in a to-look last layer fashion, where you orient the corners and then permute them. So make the top side yellow, and then move the corners around to solve the 2x2 puzzle.
Something interesting to note here is that if you can already solve the 3x3, you can use the same method to solve the 2x2.
The logical next step for most 2x2 solvers would be the Ortega or Varazona method, that it's also sometimes called. In this method, you first make sure that the bottom face has the same color on all 4 corners. Then you make sure that the top layer has the same color on all 4 faces, and then you just permute all the pieces to make the 2x2 solve.
After that, we have the CLL method, and this is actually built upon the layer-by-layer method. So first you solve the first layer, and then you just learn a bunch of algorithms to be able to solve the last layer in one algorithm.
And the patterns continue as the methods get more advanced. So the next method would be EG, which actually stands for Erik Gunnar. It's the Swede that I mentioned beforehand. Gunnar Krieg helped invent this method and propose the first algs for the method. And in this method, you make sure that the bottom face has the same color, and also that there are headlights, so to say, so that there are 2 colors matching on one side, usually in the back. And then you just solve the entire cube with 1 alg. So that's another 42 algorithms for you to learn. And that was EG1. On the other hand, if your bottom layer has a diagonal swap, then it will be called EG2. Most people actually learn EG2 after EG1, since both there are a lot more algs to learn, but also that they are a bit less useful, since most of the time when you solve a face on the bottom side, you will accidentally get headlights. So these cases are a bit more rare. But if you learn them, you can get even faster, since you have a good way of solving even more scrambles.
So for the top 2x2 solvers in the world, what methods are they using?
The top 2x2 solvers would combine a lot of different methods and algorithm substeps, even more than the ones I mentioned, like TCLL and LEG1, I don't know. So they learn a lot of different algs and take a look at each scramble and think, what alg can I use here? And just pick the best method subset for that particular scramble to make sure they can solve the cube as quickly as possible.
Is this unique for 2x2 or is it similar to any other event?
This trend began in 2x2, but nowadays we actually see similar approaches getting more popular in other events as well, such like the Scube event, for example.
So when it actually comes to a top solver solving the 2x2, something that is quite unique for this event is that you actually do something called one looking. That means that during the inspection, in which you have 15 seconds in a WCA competition, you can actually plan the entire solve. So when you start solving, you already know exactly all of the moves that you need to do, and you can get a very high TPS, which means turns per second.
That's correct. One looking is the most important aspect of high-level 2x2 solving. But other aspects which are important to also have in mind is to have a good pickup, to be able to pick up the cube fast, actually start turning fast, and then stopping it quickly. But also to improve the solves in terms of finger trick friendliness, so that the moves can be performed quickly, and also just in general turning faster, having a higher TPS.
And with this, we have actually recently had some controversy within the WCA and the 2x2 event, because you need to start and stop so fast. We've had a problem where people have been using so-called sliding. So when you usually start a solve, you have your hands on a timer, and when you remove your hands from the timer starts. So what some people have been doing is sliding your hands forward, allowing your hands to still be on the timer while you start solving. And this is something that is really hard for the judge to see in real time.
Some other common critiques of the event is that the 2x2 event is quite alg heavy, so to say. So to get fast, you need to learn a lot of different algs. There isn't much intuition needed. But we also hear a common critique that is too luck-based. So if you want to get your PR, both average, but especially single, you just need very good scrambles. So while, for example, top-level solvers can train hard to consistently get better and better averages, to actually be able to break your record, some luck is definitely needed.
One note is that in an actual championship or any competition actually, other competitors actually have the same scrambles as you do. So of course it matters to actually be fast, but for, again, the record, you need some luck.
Another important aspect of 2x2 solving is the hardware, and that's which 2x2 puzzle that you're actually using. So we want to give you some tips on and some advice on which 2x2s are actually worthwhile getting. And we'll begin in the budget category, where we have 3 main picks.
The first one is the Moyo RS2M Evolution, which is a very fast and reliable speed cube for the low price of €899. The next one is the Qi M Pro Ball Core in about the same price range, about €10, and this one actually has a magnetic ball core inside. The last and final one is actually the YJ MGC 2x2. This one is quite underrated according to us, and is a very good 2x2 to get some really fast times.
In the mid-tier category, we first picked the Moyo Weipo WRS, and it's actually only $13.99 here at Qbox, which makes it quite affordable. But the performance doesn't really match the top-level puzzles, which we'll come to later. After that, we have the VidCube 2x2M, which is actually a brand new puzzle. It was released just earlier this year. And while it is crispy and fast, unfortunately, it also has some problems with corner twisting, even on tighter tensions. Then we have the Untitled M, also an underrated puzzle, which is good, but actually shares a lot of features with the VidCube 2x2M that is fast and crispy and quite flexible as well, but it also has some corner twisting problems. And finally, in the mid-tier category, we have the MGC Elite, a puzzle which I've actually been using a lot myself when I practice 2x2 solving, and it does definitely require some break-in and a lot of lubrication to perform at its best, but after that it performs really good. I can easily match the puzzles in the luxury category.
And in the luxury category, let's start with the world record cube. This is the GAN 251M Pro. At around 30 to 40 euros, it has some different variants, but all of them are very customizable. They are light, fast, and easy to use, and we highly recommend it.
Finally, for the most expensive 2x2 here at Cubos, we have the brand new Moyo Weipo V5. And at 40 euros, it does have a very nice and pleasant feeling when you turn the puzzle. It's both fast and a little bit crispy as well. But unfortunately, performance-wise, it doesn't really match up to the GAN 251M Pro, which would be our main pick for the best 2x2 puzzle on the market right now. And that's both due to the size being a bit smaller than the GAN 251M, actually only 50 millimeters, but also in the corner cutting, which is not as good as on the GAN 251M Pro.
This video was recorded in early 2025, so if you need our most updated top list, you can check out the link in the video description below. And we also sell all of these puzzles, so you can order them at cubos.com. Thanks for watching.